back to the More Than Logic podcast, where we connect you with entrepreneurs of all different levels. Quick shout out to Sessions by Pro Studio Namibia, our go-to production house for high quality and affordable podcasting. If you want to start your own podcast, just comment or send us a DM. So before we get anywhere with me rambling, I want to give some light to our guest for today, Ndahafa Angula. She's in real estate, and I'm going to leave her to do most of the introducing herself. I think she's doing our real estate, a little bit of Airbnb, and a little bit of mothering. So yeah, parenting. So yeah, Ndahafa Angula, welcome to the podcast, and you may introduce yourself now.
Thank you so much, Ignatius. So like you said, I am Ndahafa Angula. I have been a real estate agent for about 15, 17 years.
Oh, that's a lot.
And I am a guest house owner.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I own Kate's Nest Guest House. We have one here and another branch in Oshakati.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I'm doing a bit of mothering. I have a daughter.
Yes.
And I'm also doing a bit of wifing. I'm a wife.
That's
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're doing now is what we'd call soft life.
I don't know if it's that soft yet.
It's not that soft yet. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Ndahafa, just so everyone knows, you said you're camera shy.
Horribly.
Yeah, and so we're going to go very easy on you, smoothly into the conversation. If you were to give a number, how many properties have you rented and sold over the last 15, 17 years?
Oh, my goodness. You're putting me under the spot. So I don't even remember, but I am more of a sales agent.
Yeah.
So I don't prefer rentals.
Mm-hmm.
So with the sales, I think when I first started, you try and reach a target of at least 3 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you sell 5. So over 15 years, I can't. I
Let
don't
me do
know.
the calculations.
If it's 3 minimum a month, and 10 years is what?
Yeah.
A year is 12. Let's
Yeah,
say
12 times 10
Times
years. That's
10,
120
yeah.
properties.
plus now the other 7 years. So maybe over
Yeah.
maybe over 200. I don't know.
You've sold over 200 properties?
I would think so. I would like to think so.
That's a lot.
That's
of
just a
properties.
rough number.
That's a lot.
But
of
yeah,
properties.
you have to put a target for yourself as an
Yeah.
agent. So.
Would you say your sales skills have gotten, your people skills have gotten better through doing sales?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't remember people's names.
I am horrible with people's names. I'm
Yeah.
really terrible with people's names. But property sales is very. It's very personal. So you have to be there. They're not just clients anymore.
Yeah.
During those 3 months, you're talking to these people every other day. You're trying to ease them into, the whole process. And buying a house is it's not something small.
Yeah.
People buy emotionally, people buy financially, but a lot of emotions actually go into buying a house or buying a property. So you have to be there emotionally for your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's more an emotional thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. It is, you buy a house, in most cases, people are expecting to live in it at least 5 years,
Exactly.
So, yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
And do you have a property that you once tried to sell that took you very long to sell? And how long was it? What's the longest you spent trying to sell a single property?
Some properties can stay on your books for a year, 6 months or longer. It also depends on what the market is like.
Yeah.
Is it a good market? Is the uptake good? Are properties expensive? Depends on what are the rates doing. Can people buy now? If properties are overpriced, let's say the owner and he insists on, or he or she, they insist on the price, but you still know as an agent that this is overpriced.
Yeah.
You tell them that this is going to stay long on the market. It's one of those. Mostly when properties are overpriced, like the owner decides, no, but my house is worth this, so you have to sell it for this, and it doesn't matter what you say. Those are normally the ones that tend to stay long on the property, on the market. And then finally, when they realize 6 months later, oh, my house is not selling, then they drop the price. So that's mostly the ones that...
So when you undersell over the valuation prices.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That sounds like it could be me. I always want extra profit.
But the bank is going to tell you, you know, they're still going to value the property. So even if you want overvaluation, it's not going to work. And then clients would come up with, yeah, but where are the cash buyers? If people are spending their cash, they also want valuations. So who would want to spend more than what the value is? So it's always difficult to get there. But
yeah, so there are clients that come and buy $2-3 million houses in cash.
Yes, definitely.
That's sketchy as well.
Definitely. Now, not as much anymore, at least not in my experience, but there was a time, especially with the Angolan market, they used to buy a lot of property in cash. So there was a time that really the cash sales were... There was a lot of cash sales,
Everyone loves cash sales because then they play. So so interesting. What led you into real estate?
I studied accounting. Started working as an accountant, but not for long. And then I think it was like I felt I needed extra money. I think. And I also wanted to do something else. I got bored with what I was doing. So during my lunch breaks or after 5, so I registered. First I registered, I did the exam, and during my lunch breaks and after work, I would go and try and sell a property. And then it started working out. So then I went full-time into real estate. Working out meaning I started earning more than what I was getting paid for my salary. So
that's always nice.
That's always a good motivator.
Yeah, definitely. And like from the point you started or did your real estate license to selling the first property after that, how long would you say it took you roughly?
My first property was actually in Dorado Park that I sold. No, it didn't take me very long. I think the first month, it's like I knew a friend who knew a friend who's selling their house, and the house was in a good condition. It was a very nice place. Price was good. So I think maybe in the first month, I was able to sell it. So it didn't take very long, but it was just right circumstances.
No, that's nice. That's good. I'm happy it happened that way. And now, fast forward, you did 15 years in the industry, and you pushed a career in it. Have you had any mentors or influential figures who helped you shape your career in real estate?
I don't know mentor, but my first, not my first, it was actually my second boss, I would say. I was with Stefan Lofty-Eaton Properties. At the time, he was one of the biggest real estate companies. And he used to really push us. Yeah, he would... it was a lot of pushing, like, in how much do you want to earn per month? It was like that. And if you say this is the number, then you have to make that number. Or every other day, it's like, you didn't even make this number. What's happening with you? So I think he pushed us quite a lot, which I think helped. Yeah.
And would you say would you say a lot of there were some people that also didn't take that positively?
Yes, even I didn't take it positively all the time. Yeah, because if you have somebody always scolding and always checking what you're doing and what are your numbers, and it gets tiring. So it's both. It's positive and it can also get tiring, you know. The environment sometimes gets very strained because every time you come in the office, there's a whole big board showing who sold, and you're just thinking, my goodness, my name is not on that board. I need to get my name on that board. So the pressure that came with it was both good, and I mean, pressure has both advantages and disadvantages. So
but I'm thinking maybe that could also affect culture sometimes, you know, because then the team is always working in competition with each other.
Exactly.
Rather than with each other.
Exactly. But then when you also now change it to an environment where there's no competition, then everybody's just relaxed. Nobody's doing anything.
Of course.
So
it is at the end of the day what you really want. Because I think it could also work in the sense of that, you know, if you have a team of let's say 5 people, maybe 3 of them are very good at sales, 2 of them are very weak in sales, but they're very good in supporting you know, in support work. It's like, you know, keeping in touch with people once they're in. So, you know, it could be also that instead of pushing these people to do sales, you could use them as a support system for the other people to make more sales. Because on the broader picture, then the whole team makes more sales as the team. As individuals, the salespeople, the 3 of them will make good sales, but with the support of the extra support system, then they make more sales for the team. I don't know what you think about an approach like that as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but real estate is being self-employed. It's not business. You're self-employed, so you earn what you make. I mean, what you sell, that's your earnings. It's not like you earn a salary or so. The 2 support staff, if they're also real estate agents, how are they going to make their money? But it can work if your 2 support staff, maybe they're front desk, they're your admin people, and they earn a salary, and their salaries maybe like the agents. They have to stand off part of their commission so that you can pay the support staff. But as a real estate agent, if you're not working, you're not getting paid. If you have a flu, you're not getting paid.
It's survival out there.
Yes. So all the money you make is because you went out and sold a property, or if you're a rental agent, you rented a property.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the funniest encounter that you had with the property sale? The weirdest encounter?
Weirdest.
Yeah, I had one agent come the other day, and she was like, "Oh, we once had to sell a property, and we go knocking at the door, and the guy is standing there with a gun, the shotgun." so I want to hear what your weirdest encounter was.
The one that comes to mind. I cannot mention that one because everybody knows that story, so they will know who I'm talking about. But the other one is a spooky house.
A spooky house?
Yeah, the house was just weird. Yeah. So it was in Klein Windhoek. We went to go view this property. And even the way it was built at the time, you know, it has a tower and you get in and then there's
a tower?
Yeah, it had like this funny tower.
Yeah.
And we got in there. We went to go list the property or have a look at it. And when we got in, the paintings were even, you know, scary paintings, spooky-like paintings. Yeah. The tower, there was no way to get up there. Like, you can see it, and there's a room upstairs, but there's no stairs to get up there. And you just got an eerie feeling. I'm still getting goosebumps. And this was years ago. Yeah. I think that was my most weirdest.
Was the house renovated since?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was a whole eerie story about the guy that had passed, and he had left the house to maybe a girlfriend, and the family didn't want, and there was also a whole spooky story behind it. Yeah. I think that, and somebody that had painted the entire house black, and they had. I think it was snakes in his backyard, and we thought it was plastic snakes, but when we asked, he was like, "No, they are real."
What?
Yes.
That is.
Yeah, that was also very scary.
That is weird. I'm surprised you didn't start with that one first.
That was also very.
Snakes.
Yeah.
In the house. That is scary.
That was also scary.
Yeah.
So there's a few. I can't. My memory is not the best, but I can't recall all of them. But yeah.
Yeah, funny. I don't know if you've read one of these stories going around that goes around on social media about a snake. So there was a lady with a snake as a pet, and she used to sleep in the same bed with this snake. So the snake hadn't been eating for the last 3 weeks now. You know, she bought the snake and she's been keeping it in her bed. It was domestic now, and so now she was sleeping with I think it was a python, if I'm not mistaken. So one day she goes to the doctor's like, my python hasn't been eating for the last 3 weeks. Could you please explain to me what's happening here? And then so she didn't exactly say it was a python. She just said my snake. And then the doctor asks, what snake do you have here? And then she's like, oh yeah, it's a python, and we sleep in the same bed. And I was like,
Getting ready to eat you.
and it's like, yeah, it's just like, and then the doctor asks, when you're with the snake, does the snake do this thing where it lies straight in front of, right next to you? And she says, yeah, yes. She was like, the doctor's like, get rid of that snake. So for those last 3 weeks, the snake was preparing to swallow her.
Yes.
So yeah, guys, don't
No,
keep snakes.
I don't know how you're gonna
Yeah.
keep snakes as a pet. For me, no. I used to be, I don't know, scared, but I'm scared of snakes, but I'm also very inquisitive about them. So I've been following the Facebook page of, what is the guy? The snake catcher, snakes in Namibia, to just learn more about them.
Yeah.
And so I always, now when it's there, I want to see and I want to know what type of snake it is. I really want, if somebody says there's a snake there, I'm one of those that I want to go see what it looks like.
Yeah.
But those things should not be kept as pets. Yeah, it's like you can't keep a lion as a pet.
Yeah,
It's not a
that
pet.
is very weird.
Yeah.
It is very weird. It's
Yeah.
like you're just signing your own death.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you enjoy most about work? Oh, you're not doing sales that much anymore. So then I would ask, what has been the most challenging part about your journey as an agent, and then later on working with partners to put together an agency and all that?
As an agent, working with people is not easy. Yeah, you find nice people, you find rude people, you find people that think, yeah, I'm paying your commission anyway, so you have to be my slave type of thing. So working with people, I would say both. It's the most difficult, and it's also the most gratifying, because you also get to learn. It teaches you so many other things, because as an agent, like I said, you're self-employed, and you know when you're self-employed, you are the HR, you are the whatever, everything. As an agent, you also become the psychologist. It's true. The divorce counselor,
The CFO.
the whatever it is, calculating the money matters. You also, you wear so many hats as an agent. So, yeah, the most difficult is learning how to deal with people, learning how to deal with very rude people, learning how to not be, learning how to deal with racist clients, learning how to deal with clients just thinking, like I said, well, we're paying your commission, so they think they can call you up at any time, 6 a.m., 8 p.m., like you don't, So just learning how to kind of go around that and still not be rude or not be agitated, because it's still business. You still somehow have to bring your best foot forward.
Of course,
Yeah. So.
And you probably get those stereotypical people as well, like I guess the guys that don't have boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And as a female, also being safe, showing a property if it's empty, if you're going to show a male client,
you always
also
have to text
that.
your people.
Or just knowing that you're going to be safe. And then with our own people, not trusting, our own black people, not trusting each other, that this black agent is going to sell my house, but you don't want to give it to them, but you'll give it to a white. All of those type of things. Racism from both ends. Not just white, even from our own people,
Of course, that's sad.
Yeah.
I have a funny story whenever I hear someone speak about how, black people don't always sell things with good quality, and I always tell the story of my dad buying his Toyota Land Cruiser from an Afrikaans guy, a white guy. 3 weeks later, it didn't work anymore. So I always get reminded of that. So I think getting scammed or tricked can happen anywhere, everywhere, and
any race.
so
Yeah.
I think, would you say would you say it has been a very rewarding career as well, for yourself? Because I mean, you've expressed some of your challenges, but through that still, would you say, would you
Absolutely.
take a hit? Yeah.
Absolutely. It has been very, very rewarding. Yeah. Yeah, I still love real estate because,
Yeah.
it's for me, it's still the best. It has been the best decision for me to move into real estate. Yeah, I love it. I will always love it. Like I just said, you work with so many different people. So I think that for me has been the best. And then and I think a rewarding career is also when you make other people happy. When I think of all the people that I've put into homes, or all the families, so even people that still call me now and 5 years later or 10 years later, or young couples maybe 5 years ago, and now they call and say, okay, we're now having 2 children, we need to move to a family home. And the growth that you also see in other people. Or I've had clients that they started with maybe a 1-bedroom or a flat as investment, and now they own 10 apartments. And so the growth with what you see in other people, it's very rewarding.
No, that's good. I love that.
Yeah.
You already know what this is. 100,000 followers on YouTube, this is what you get for it. So we already have the proof to show for our work. Now you want to start your podcast, video production, content creation, but you obviously don't want to waste your money. That's why you've got to work with a team that already knows what it's doing. Find us at Pro Studio. You already know it for yourself. This is hard work. See you then. Talking about when you say now, a couple that starts with 1 flat and now they have 10. So for example, for me, I'm very interested in real estate because I think that's where a lot of the stable money is. I believe. And so would you say, because I know throughout your career you probably also did some supplies for people that are looking to start Airbnbs or maybe invest in their own real estate, then you would help them find properties and all that. So if I wanted to, for example, start, get my first property, I'm not a cash buyer, because I don't know if you read the newspaper the other day, it's like you need now like 36,000 a month to secure a $1 million loan. That's insane. A lot of people aren't making that. But how would you go about the whole thing of someone wanting to make money with real estate? Would you say, maybe let me phrase this question a bit better. Would you say it's better off, maybe doing the sales side, agent stuff, or if you have capacity to straight go into maybe start already looking into getting properties for yourself, renting them, Airbnb and all that, what would you say would be a good approach from your side for someone that looks at maybe more long-term investment and stuff?
The one thing that I've seen is, like with a lot of people, when you buy your first property, you want to live in it yourself. Not everybody actually, like, you just go straight into I want to invest, because where are you staying? And a lot of the younger people, you wanna get your foot in the market, but then it's like your property. You wanna feel proud about you've bought your own house or you've bought your own flat. For that, I don't think, because renting and versus buying is actually more expensive, like day to day or month to month. So for that, I would always advise, you can always go rent wherever, and then maybe rent out you can still buy a place, a smaller place, a cheaper place. It doesn't matter, even in Katutura, wherever, something that you can afford. And then rent that out. You can rent cheaper and maybe rent something out just so that you can start your portfolio. So also starting your portfolio, you don't have to start with $1 million property. I know properties are very expensive now, but there are places where you can maybe get a 2-bedroom flat for 600,000. And you could look at that. You don't have to go live there. You can live somewhere else and see if you can rent that out. It's also very difficult with the interest rates. Now the rates are not that high anymore. There was a time when rates were, I think, 17% and so on.
Crazy.
Yeah. So then that depends what your monthly bond or what your monthly repayment is.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy a property for investment, let's say you find one now for 700,000, already your bond is probably going to be what, 8.5, and you're probably just going to get, if you find a tenant for it, maybe 6.5. So your budgeting before you go buy, you also have to know whether you can pay up that, the difference between your bond, and then there's rates and taxes, or body corporate fees. So that would almost be like your monthly. You still have to invest in it every month. You still have to pay money in it every month. And buying property is not, I'm going to invest today and 3 years later or 2 years later, I'm going to sell it and make money from it. You might need to keep it for a long term before you can make something out of it. And also, then it also again depends on the market. Is it a good market by the time you want to sell? Is it a good market? Did property prices go down? Are they still that high? A few years ago, property prices were very high and you could sell for a good profit. And now they're high again, but there's also been times where the prices were really just low. Valuations had dipped, and then you can't sell it during that market because then you could make a loss. So it's not, for me, it's not a clear, like I'm going to invest, I'm going to make money, unless it's really long term. Maybe 10 years or...
Because long term is guaranteed.
I think it's guaranteed because then you have paid off some money, property, it always grows. So if it's a long-term investment, yes. But if it's for short-term, I don't know if you can. But it depends what you're going to do with it. If, like Airbnb, for instance, now, Airbnb, I think, is doing good.
Airbnb is booming,
Exactly. So if instead of you renting out your property for 6,000 every month, and now you're renting it out for 500 a day. I mean, just having it booked for 10 days almost gives you that 6,000. So
getting that good occupancy rate. That's why I actually wanted to speak about Airbnb just now, because I think for me, being young guy, I'm always interested in what's the next catch. I think Airbnb is something that I definitely yes, I am interested in Airbnb. So one thing I've been trying to look at, for example, is like, finding people that already own their own properties and then convince them to go on Airbnb. Like, let me handle it for you. Then, because for example, I have one family that I grew up with. I don't know if you know Farm Krumuk. So that's where I grew up living, right, on Farm Krumuk. And for example, they have a beach house in Swakopmund, but they only rent it out to their friends. I imagine if that was on Airbnb. That's like an easy guarantee, just because it's a beach house, right? And they could even just rent it out cheaper than all the other beach houses in that line, because I think it's in the same street of... I don't know if you've heard of the Pearls. The Pearls from Gondwana now that is managing that. That's like going for 25,000 a night, and then they're now trying to do luxury markets or something like that. So that's interesting. And then just a few houses down from that is that beach house, and they rent it out to friends and family for like $850 a night. That's like really cheap. It's because you can fit like 8 people in there. Imagine.
Oh, wow.
So now imagine.
Must give me the details.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, imagine if they just went to just 2,000 a night. Oh, it can go all the way to like 5-6. It's a beach house. But even just for a start for them, like 3K a night, you could easily run a 60-80% occupancy rate with a beach house like that. So yeah, for example, that's something I think. An approach, because I mean, when you're young, you don't always have like the money to straight away buy a property or get a loan. You don't have that proper credit score, but you probably have family members that have rental properties, that have houses that they don't do much with. Because in Swakop, that's very common. People just get a house in Swakop and they don't. I don't know. What do you think about that approach?
Yeah, absolutely. But then what if you're managing it for them? because a lot of, I think managing agents, what do they charge? What's going to be your fee? Is it 15% of the bookings? Is it 20% of the bookings? Because I mean, there's still expenses to be paid, whatever. So, what are they going to allow you? If I'm an owner of Airbnb and you want to manage it for me, so obviously I have to take off all the expenses and what I'm spending, and then there's still your portion. So it depends what that portion is going to be. So is it going to be, I think it's always worth it to make obviously extra money, but then you also have to see, what does it entail? Do you have to arrange the cleaner? When things break, what's going to happen? Who's responsible for what? Who's paying the cleaner? Who's paying for the supplies, the cleaning, all of that. What I've also seen on the internet, which I think is really a cool idea or nice idea, is people renting other people's property. So let's say you speak to the family and you say, okay, let me rent the property from you since you make $850 once in a while, maybe per month. What do you make? Do you make $5,000 a month or whatever?
If you do 10 days at least, then you got your 8,500.
So let me give you, can I pay you 8,500 per month for the house? You get your money, what you would have gotten anyway. And then you go and rent it out for the 2.5. Let's say then you run the Airbnb. It's your Airbnb. So it's not you didn't buy the property or whatever. It's just, so that's maybe something to look at. It's just, even with an apartment, if you rent an apartment in town and then you speak to the landlord, maybe they're renting it out they wanted 6.5 for a full-term tenant. And then you rent it and ask them, okay, I'm going to do Airbnb. And you charge more, then at least if you're making 15,000, 20,000 a month, you pay the 6,500, I think that is more than getting 15% or 20% running one property. That's just my...
Yeah, of course.
It's a different way to maybe look at,
that is.
It's more riskier because obviously now you have this bill of, let's say, 8,500 that you have to pay. But it's also a motivator. I think you'll work harder, you'll advertise more because now it's your business. It's your business. You're not running somebody else's Airbnb. You're running your Airbnb.
Of course. It's a very good approach actually. I think because now if you think about it, it also just depends now what the property is like, what it looks like. Because I think I believe one of the things with Airbnb, it's usually like the furnishing, and that's probably the most important part, and also location, and maybe that might play a role. But if you've got a good location and a nice looking place, it's gonna catch some eyes.
Nice looking place, because what do people do? They go on their phones, they look for pictures.
True.
And they book through pictures. I think you first look for pictures and then you go see the reviews. Who was there? What happened there? So if it looks nice, then I think people might book.
That's good. I think that's actually something I would definitely pursue. See with some family friends as well, who's willing to let me, try it out for 1 month or 2 months for free, something like that. Because I think, because that's a nicer thing as well. It's like, especially with if you go a little bit to the older people, like the aunts and the uncles and so forth, they are not really that aware of Airbnb. They still think of renters, and so it could be.
Or they're not interested. They don't have the time, because running an Airbnb also takes a lot of work.
Of course,
they just it does take a lot. They're not interested, and some people are also not interested to renting their property long term, because tenants also mess up people's properties. So that's why sometimes you find people, their houses are empty and they're like, let it stay empty because I don't want issues with tenants breaking this, breaking that.
Okay, nice. So what's something that you're looking forward to? I asked you this question already, but more in like career based, because I see you just told me now you opened a dorm. What's it called? Backpacker. And so what are some things that you're looking at doing in the near future, maybe 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What is the future looking like for you? What are you excited for?
Definitely, I'm excited about growing my guest house. That's definitely where I am moving towards.
Fuck up next.
I love Swakop, so I wish I could have something there.
Yeah.
But I think also Swakop there's too many places.
Yeah,
But
true.
yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to growing. I feel I've been in the real estate industry for so long. I feel I've done my part, and it has also helped me to get to the next chapter of my life, which is guest house. It's only through that I could save and start a guest house.
Yeah.
For me, it's the same type of business. It's still people.
Yeah.
Still working with people. I don't really see much of a difference,
Yeah.
in the type of business that it is. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to growing my guest house business, to having maybe more places, or not more. Yes, more places, but also just giving the best experience I can for my guest houses. Yeah, because it's like I said, it's just as interesting. Lots of different people, lots of different conversations. So I'm not a very open, but I think I'm a natural host. If I'm one-on-one with a person, I think my normal hosting skills, whether it be real estate, it's the same. So I love that. So that's definitely the path that I'm taking now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself an ambitious woman?
Absolutely.
I love that answer. So
Absolutely, yes.
I was being ambitious and very driven affected your relationships. I mean, also in the dating pool now. I think you've got a husband, as you've mentioned. And how did that work? How did that turn out? How's that, because I can imagine also it might be challenging for a lot of guys. You might be, would you say you are hot-headed, stubborn? Not really?
Maybe stubborn. Maybe like I know what I want, so yeah.
So how has that been, sort of the dating pool? And, what was your experience like?
Not easy. Yeah, like you say, if you're an ambitious woman, or if it's difficult, because I think we're coming from an era, especially in my time, where male, female, the male are the ones that had things, or were supposed to have things, or they're the business ones, or they're the the generation before me, or like my grandmother, they were the housewives, or the husbands used to go to work, and like that, and the women stayed at home, took care of the babies, and then came, now let's say my parents or my mom, them that were now allowed to either be a teacher or a nurse. Those were the only that they could be. And then still you had husbands that were business, they were the business people, and then now us, where you find a lot of women now in business. So it's definitely difficult, because now I feel now we've been afforded the same opportunities. It's not male, female anymore. Female cannot go to school. If we go to university, we are both just people at the university. So now it's really about the person. It's not whether you're a guy or a lady. Yeah. Let's say from school, when you start now school and you go through school or whatever. So fast forward after that, if you are female and you're ambitious, or if you're doing a bit well or whatever, and the dating pool becomes smaller.
Very small, yes.
Yeah, because guys in their ego, they want to make more than the...
Yeah, of course.
They have normally, They want to make more. They want to seem to make more, Yeah. So it is difficult. Yeah. When I met my husband, it was because... I went to a swimming school, and he was also taking swimming lessons. So in the pool, you don't know who is doing what. You're just trying to swim, trying to survive. Yeah, and you get to talking, and I think by the time he saw what I was doing, or that I was a businesswoman, I didn't see a change in him. I didn't see that it bothered him. I didn't see that he was trying to prove to me that I can do better, or
Yeah.
which I'd had previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't feel there was a competition going on, you know,
Yeah.
and I think that's why.
Yeah.
That's why he's my husband today, because a lot of sometimes you want a partner. What we do outside of home is our jobs and our whatever, but what we do as two people, there can never be competition between two partners. We can rather maybe complement each other.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't matter, for me at least, what you do and what I do.
Yeah.
So as long as we work together, we complement each other, the other one is not trying to overpower the other one, and I think then it works. Yeah. If we just let people be and do what you want. Because today I can be the businesswoman. Tomorrow, 2 years later, I'm back to being the housewife, and maybe you're the businessman.
Yeah.
You know, because life changes every day and you just don't know. Today I can have a job, tomorrow I don't have a job for whatever reasons, and then you're the one with a job. So, that's basically.
Interesting. What are some principles now that you try to live your life by, and how does it also affect your relationship with your daughter?
I think now, having a relationship with somebody, making the effort, calling, you know, because previously when my daughter was younger, and when I just started out in real estate, you know, with real estate you work anytime. You work after 5 is when people can go view houses. By the time you get home, maybe it's 8 o'clock. Child is sleeping because you said 8 o'clock is bedtime, tomorrow is school. So you kind of lose, it's easy to lose connection with the people closest to you. It can be your daughter, it can be a friend. The moment you work harder or put in extra hours, or, you know, it's very difficult to keep your connections. Unfortunately, it's just like that. Because where are you after 5? You're busy working. After, you know, it's the time that you're supposed to be spending time with your family, and also weekends. If you're working every weekend, what's happening with your friends? You're not going to have time for them. So I think now for me is just to make sure I do have the time, whether it be a weekend, whether it be a lunch, whether it be whatever is, whether it be by text, how are you, where are you, a call, you know, it's to make an effort.
Because soon she's also not going to have the time.
Exactly. Now I think now the roles are getting reversed. As you get older, I guess the roles get reversed, and now you want more time with your children, and they're just like, please leave me alone. So nice.
And you know, I was just thinking of something when you were speaking that I heard recently. It was saying, don't shout at your children in the morning and expect them to have a good day at school. Don't call names to your children and expect them to be confident out in the world. Then it also said, don't do things you wouldn't want your children to do and expect them to be better examples of you. It was just something that I was reading recently, but it has kind of, you know, it made me think about what would I want to be like as a parent. It was just interesting. And I don't know, when you hear those things, what does it say to you? And what are some things you've learned as a parent about trying to raise, you know, a decent human being?
Being a parent, unfortunately, doesn't come with a manual. So it's not easy. I'm sure I've also yelled before school. And at the time when you're yelling, you're not thinking of the repercussions. You're just like, why are you not up yet? You know you need to be at school, you know, and you're yelling and screaming because you're just trying to get this person to school, you know. So I think as a parent, you don't necessarily do these things meaning to hurt your children. You're just trying, we're living life every day, and you need to get to school and in that. And as parents, you're also just a human being. So some days you yell, some days you also yell, but you are wrong. You know. I think over the years now, I'm trying. You try and understand better. And I think when kids become teenagers, they now become their own people. So for me, the lesson was with my daughter, for instance, it's now where we find parents saying these kids talk back, or this child doesn't say anything, because people have different personalities.
Yeah.
You find a child that's going to tell you, but I didn't do anything wrong. You're going to find one that's just going to go back in their corner and I'm not going to say anything anyway.
Yeah.
It's a personality. Then it's not just the child anymore. So I think is to kind of learn what personalities our children are, and then try and fit ourselves maybe somehow. I don't know if there's any easier route. Also depending on how you grew up. My mom was very strict. So I've been yelled at way too many times. But also the generation today and how we were, like now you guys have so many, so many options, and you can go see who and you can go talk to who, and
We're just soft.
It's very soft. Completely different from what we were.
Yeah.
We were being yelled at and being strangled and being beaten with belts, but it was normal. You do that today. I keep thinking, if I do to my child what my mom, how strict she was, I swear that child would be depressed all the time. But for us, it's what shaped us. So depends.
It's quite funny. I had a conversation with another girl on the podcast, and I was saying to her, it's funny how we sit here, especially we were speaking about men and women, that conversation that's been going around everywhere. And I was like, we speak here and say things like, the women are bad these days, the men are bad these days, and attack each other, and then our video guy here said something very wise. He was like, we need each other more than we think we don't. And I was like,
very true.
Flowers.
No, absolutely. Very, very true. Yeah.
That wasn't the point of my story, but I wanted to give him his flowers. So, where I was getting to was, it's interesting because the world currently it's almost everything is at the easiest it's ever been. The hardest thing is just, I would say, not taking acknowledgement of that. Because if you really go, like, for example, to the village right now, if you meet anyone that's, let's say, any age above 60, they at some point in their life, 60 to 80, they at some point in their life experience losing their family, watching people get shot, like real life experiences. And then you want to sit here and say, it's tough because people want to post pictures on social media, and now it's now difficult to date. I'm like, no, what is the easiest it's ever been? Because there are people that actually went through hard things, extreme poverty, no electricity, no water. You had to walk for your water.
Yeah.
And you probably, I don't know if you've had some experiences like that as well. I mean, I think if I speak of my mom and my dad, I know for a fact. So I think since last week I've been trying to take acknowledgement of that, because life is really easy, even for the business world. It's like the easiest it's ever been. Social media, it helps you sell literally almost anything. And so I think it's the easiest time it's ever been to be an entrepreneur. And similarly, I think it's probably also the easiest time it's ever been to be a human being, because people are more aware of things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, or would you have a different perspective about that?
I definitely think things around us have been made very easy. So it is the easiest time in terms of what you can do, what you have at your disposal. You can now just pick up a phone. I mean, we didn't have cell phones, for instance, So the things around us have definitely made life easier. But I guess also because a lot of people now more than ever, I think, struggle emotionally, mentally, more than those times. So for me, it's because it's been made so easy. We just expect things to come to us, and so people struggle. People struggle a lot emotionally. People struggle a lot mentally. So I don't know if the life now is easy in comparison to that time, because if you're not okay mentally and emotionally, it's more difficult, I would say, than walking to get water. I don't know. For instance, yesterday at the guest house, because I like old antique stuff, and I found one of the irons that I know growing up as a child, how I learned to iron from my grandmother. And it's this iron, those heavy iron ones, and you put it on the stove to get hot.
With boiling water?
No, it not with the one. There's the one with the coals, but
Yeah.
there was the flat one that you have to put on a prima on a
That
gas
one
stove.
I know, yeah. It's like
So
it's
you
just
can
like
get-
a metal plate
Yes.
and the handle.
Yes.
I know it, yeah.
So I saw it on. They had put it by the door to keep the door open. I'm like, do you guys even know where this is coming from? This is how I learned to iron. So it was. My point is, it was not at the time when we were using that iron. I didn't think it was difficult because we didn't have electricity. It was
Yeah.
the only way. But now you can just plug in an iron, but your ironing and your mental state is just not. You understand? So I don't know if it's the best. It's the best times because of what we have.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are struggling. So
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
I think I would even like to add, with that, it's that when every path is in your horizon, the hardest choice is deciding your direction.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the state we're in.
Yeah.
I guess, it's
Maybe too many options.
Yeah.
Now you don't know
Now you're like,
which way, and then you start school, and now you don't know. I'm changing to this, and I'm changing to that.
even choosing what to eat at a restaurant is difficult.
Exactly.
Reading some funny exotic
Exactly. Going on Netflix,
Yeah.
you know,
Too
too many options.
Sometimes it literally spend like 30 minutes just trying to decide what to watch, and it's funny.
We just knew that after school, 6 p.m. or was it 5 p.m. is Acapulco Bay, or is, I don't know, My Three Sisters. And you run from school, you run to get home because 6 p.m. is Acapulco Bay or 6 p.m. is My Three Sisters. So even with TV, there were not a lot of choices, So, so it's a give and take.
I get it. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Sure. Yeah. Childhood as in primary, high school.
The first one that comes to mind.
The first one that comes to mind, I think for me, I was very close to my grandmother. So the day school closes, and I grew up in Tsumeb, and my grandmother lived in Oshakati. So when school closes that day, on that day, my mom has arranged transport for you to go to Oshakati. So for me, because you're going to grandmother, grandmothers, they spoil you. And I was close to her. So I think holidays, knowing that where I'm going now, I think that is one of my favorite memories. And I think just playing on the street. Yeah, playing on the street, kicking ball, playing whatever we used to call it, skululu, playing with the sand, and you get a holder and you have to fufila in Oshiwambo. But I think playing on the street and just friends, because you were always in trouble because you were somewhere at a street corner sitting with your friends on a drain. You have to be home by 6 p.m., but the conversations and when you see it's 7 p.m. So just the connections. That we used to have as children. I look at the kids now, or even my daughter, and then most of the time you're in your room, and I'm thinking, my goodness, my mom had to struggle to keep me at home.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's like, I think, because I remember being a bit younger, because I also used to go to the village a lot, and also, our household back then, I spent a lot more time at our neighbor's house, like just finding things to do, playing with bricks. It's like, if there was no soccer ball at home, I know how to make a ball out of plastic.
Exactly.
We make a plan. But of course, other people have had it more extreme, but it just reminds me of those things as well when you mentioned that, and it's quite nice. We're going to come now closer to the end of our podcast.
Okay.
Right, so I'm going to ask you the last few questions as we close off. Firstly, I want to know do you listen to podcasts?
I now sometimes listen to one, but it's because I did a course with her, The Artist Way. So Karen Powell.
Karen Powell, the first person that's mentioned.
Yeah.
Where is she from?
She's been in Namibia for very long now. I think she's been here for maybe 20 years. I don't know.
What does she do?
She's like a coach, but she has this course. It's called The Artist Way, a 90-day course. It says Artist Way, but it's actually just getting to know yourself and You know, I don't know how else to do. Yeah, it's an interesting course. I just don't know how to. So after that course, and she started a podcast now. It's actually when I now started listening.
Nice.
Yeah.
And after your episode, obviously, you're going to be listening now to the More Than Logic podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
Lovely. What's a book that's left a book or a movie that has left a lasting impression on your life?
I still like, what is the guy, Robert Kiyosaki, the first one.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes, I love that book. Who Moved My Cheese? I'm still an accountant. So any like financial books that are easy to explain, because I believe in budgeting, I believe in saving. That's just my normal self.
I like finances.
Yeah, I like finances. So definitely that it puts some things for me in perspective, like, you know, like grade 1, like this is supposed to be 1 + 1, because sometimes you think you know about finances and then you just have to get back. So I think those 2 books for me.
I think that's actually a very good suggestion. From my side, the 3 books that have left the most lasting. Wait, what was my question? The 3 books that have left a lasting impression on me that I think anyone and everyone should read would be, the first one would be Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Okay.
The second one would be The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And then the last one would be Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. That's also
I've only read Think and Grow Rich from the 3, and it was also a good one.
It's a good one. I still have the other 2. I'd be more than willing to lend them to you. You know, start our own book club, because I think those are my kind of books, personal development. Because the 48 Laws of Power, it's a very interesting book in the sense of, like, the first rule in the 48 Laws of Power is never outshine the master. So it's a weird thing to hear when you're sitting and chilling. But the more you're in your career life, professional life, you realize even the people above you also have insecurities. You know, it's like sometimes even the people mentoring you, you know, they have their lives going on, but now and there are points where you need to just sit back and calm down and let your masters, your coaches, your leaders shine.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, especially when you're a newcomer, and you don't always need to shine. People don't always need to think you're intelligent. You know, sometimes
it's too much work.
So it's like, you know, you realize it, the more you're willing to observe it as well. It's like sometimes just relax, sit back, and let the ones before you do what they do.
And not just the ones before you, the ones around you as well. Like with my guest house, for instance, my housekeepers, I can learn so much from them as well. I believe you learn so much from anyone. Can be younger than you, older than you, can be a cleaner, can be any person. You can literally, if you just listen, there's something that you can always take home, because we are not, you are never everything. You will never know everything. And it doesn't matter, at least for me, it doesn't matter how old you are or you've had a business for how long. You'll meet a younger person that's just going to tell you something else or do something else, you know, that you can learn something from. So for me, even like I said, even your housekeeper, if it can be something as small as, for me, that's a guest house owner, maybe they know a better cleaning material that I never thought of, but it's probably cheaper, it's probably safer, it's going to save me money. So, you know, for me, anyone can teach you something.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. I love that. And now, can you see yourself mentoring people in the near future? Maybe even young girls, young high school girls, young boys, you know, sharing experiences and all that. Can you see yourself doing something like that?
In my heart, yes, I want to. It's definitely one of the things that I always thought, or that I would love to get into. But sometimes I don't know. Is it a lack of confidence, or you never think you are? Other people look at you and think, oh wow, you're doing this, and you're a successful businesswoman, but it's difficult for you to see yourself in that, you know. So I'd love to. I just don't know if it's enough. You always want to do the best. you just don't know whether what I know is
Yeah.
it good enough to teach
Yeah.
somebody else. And I think the people that decide that they're going to be, or that know for sure that they are mentors, I think it's amazing. You must somehow either speak to yourself, or you must, it's something that you have to get to, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if there's someone, absolutely, I'd love to. If somebody thinks I can teach them something,
Yeah.
it's,
That's
yeah.
good. That's lovely. It's quite interesting to hear you say that, because one thing I observed and learned is that, with high performing people, usually it's always like, it's, you believe you can do more than others. You believe you can achieve great things, but then on the other hand, you also but then also on the other hand, you have this deep insecurity of like, is what I did enough? Is what I did enough?
Yeah.
And then the last thing would be impulse control.
Yeah.
So it's like you believe you can achieve great things, but you always feel like whatever you've achieved is not enough, and you have the control to just keep going in one direction.
It's easy for myself.
Yeah.
Because I can fail on my own, and
Yeah.
I can get up and dust myself, and But if you have other people now looking at you, then I think somehow you think it has to be perfect. Do I now need to write down a script of what am I going to teach? What am I going to say? And like, I look at myself as I'm a worker ant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't look at myself like, for me, I work. I want to work. So I'm also just a worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Just
look
a
at,
worker.
yes, it's true. So you look at mentors, and you think they are more than a worker. They are like the top of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So if I'm looking at myself like a worker, I don't know how to get to the next. Yeah.
Nah, I'd love to get you there to mentor some people. And yeah, I'm looking forward to our event as well together. I'm gonna put some very tough questions for
Oh
you.
my goodness.
I'll give you time to prepare. Yeah, so everything put aside, it's been an interesting episode. I appreciate you coming here. And yeah, it's lovely to see. I love to see more women in business, because contrary to popular belief, I really think women are very good at management positions, depending on what it is. So yeah, I'd love to see more female entrepreneurs as well, because they bring a very different approach.
Yes.
Guys, we bring a different approach, and
Yeah.
I think can complement each other very well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's lovely to see.
Yeah.
And if you've got your inspirational moment, raise your camera.
Ignatius, please, no.
What do you want?
I just told you I'm a worker. Where do workers get inspirational quotes and moments?
Oh my God. If there's at least one sentence or two that you want to leave our people with.
But for me, I don't know if it sounds so cliche, but things are possible, and it doesn't matter where you are today. I always believe tomorrow is a different day, next year is a different day. So you must just always get up and just try again. That's really it. It sounds cliche, but there are days that you're so down and you're finished, or you're tired of this job. But every time when you wake up, it's a new opportunity. It's a new page. That day, that morning, you can decide. Okay, thank you, Lord. This and this and this and this. Today I'm going to try this, or today I'm going to try and be happier. And it can be anything, So I think that's
That's
it.
a very good spot to end. I love it. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to say
Please.
anything else.
Don't put me under.
Yeah. Thank you, our people, for watching and listening. And this is it. Give me a
Okay.
high five.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.